Next speaker is Wei Song. He's going to talk about the discourse mode identification in ACID.
Okay. Morning, everyone. I'm Wei Song from Capital Normal University, China, and today I'm.
Which one was your run?
Full screen.
Cool. So what do you do?
Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm Wei Song from Capital Normal University, China. Today I'm talking about discourse mood identification in ICs. This is a joint work with Abstractive Research and Harbin Institute of Technology. And discourse moods, also known as rhetorical moods, describe the purpose and the conventions of the main kinds of language-based communication. And in this work, we focus on 5 discourse moods that are widely used in Chinese writing composition. They are narration, description, argument, expression, and emotion expressing. Usually, in a given text, there is one main mood, but a typical text would make use of all the moods. So why we are interested in the discourse moods? That is because the use of discourse moods is important in writing composition and related to several aspects that influence the quality of the text. First, as proposed by Smith, who divided the discourse moods into narration, description, argument, information, and report, which is a similar taxonomy to ours. And she mentioned that discourse moods has highly relation to the organization of a text. And there is a study that on discourse passages from a linguistic viewpoint, and believe that situation entity type, such as event, state, and generic, is related to the discourse moods. So there is some work on situation entity type identification as a middle step for discourse moods identification. However, there is later work on directly identifying discourse moods. On the other side, discourse moods also has rhetorical significance because they are widely used in rhetoric. And the various discourse moods prefer different styles of languages. And usually we have to combine them together to express materials in the best way. So, discourse moods should have a close relationship to the quality of writings. However, later work has been done to connect the use of discourse moods and the writing quality. So in this paper, we attempt to identify sentence-level discourse moods in essays. To achieve this, we annotate a dataset with discourse moods. And we also proposed a method for discourse moods identification. And further, we apply discourse moods for essay scoring task. So first, I will introduce the data annotation. We hope to gain some observations from the data annotation. We collected 415 narrative essays written by high school students in native Chinese language. And we asked two teachers to label the datasite. A manual was discussed first and then updated during the annotation process. So during the annotation process, we observe that in one sentence, there is always more than one discourse mood. As a result, each sentence can be assigned more than one mood, so multiple labels are allowed. But also, we let the annotator inform a dominant mood, which reflects the main purpose of the author, why she write down this sentence. The purpose means that he write down this sentence aims to narrate or describe or express her emotions. Then now we introduce some observations about the datasite. We observe that the distribution of all discourse mood labels is very imbalanced in narrative essays. The narration, description, and emotion expressing are major discourse moods. And argument and exposition are rare in narrative essays. We also examine the co-occurrence between discourse moods. We find that about 22% of sentences have more than one discourse mood. For example, description tends to co-occur with narration and emotion. It is reasonable since description can provide the details of events and can also invoke emotions in some cases. And the argument tends to co-occur with emotion since proper emotional appeals can enhance the strength of argument. We also check the inter-annotator agreement on dominant discourse mood. 50 essays were annotated independently by two annotators, and we compare the PRI, precision recall, I1, and kappa value. Generally, we can achieve acceptable agreement on dominant discourse moods. That means that a human can generally accurately identify the main purpose of the author to write down one sentence. And the transition patterns of dominant moods indicate that most moods tend to have local transition patterns that they tend to translate to themselves. So contextual information might be useful for discourse moods identification. So based on these observations, we propose a method for discourse mood identification. We view it as a sequence labeling problem, that is to assign labels to each sentence to indicate which discourse moods it has. So we propose a hierarchical neural model for this task. First, we convert a word into dense word vectors based on pre-trained embeddings. The embeddings are trained on external larger dataset and fixed and changed during training and prediction. Then a sentence is a sequence of words, so we use a recurrent neural network to get sentence representations. Here we use GRU as a recurrent unit. And at the discourse level, we use a bi-directional recurrent neural network to capture the sequential information among sentences. And finally, the representation of each sentence were feed to output multi-label layer. Here is a multi-label output layer. The representation of one sentence is mapped to a 5-way output, and each way uses segment activation function and indicates the probability that a sentence can have a discourse mood. So this model enable to have multiple labels for each sentence. So we use about 300 essays as training data and 100 essays used as a test data, and compares with SVM with unigram and background features, or CNN model for sentence classification, and the GRU and a GRU sequence which is proposed in this work. Here we report the average score. So we can see that neural models outperform the bag of words method thanks to the use of pre-trained word embeddings. And we also found that adding sequential information is useful. The performance is improved further. And 3 major discourse modes, narration, description, and emotion, can be effectively identified. While argument and exposition are difficult to be identified, and we think more external label data should be involved for these 2 discourse modes, since they are very sparse in our data set. The next part is we apply discourse mood identification for essay scoring. So automatic essay scoring is a task that aims to build a computer-aided scoring system to reduce the involvement of human readers. So here we cast this task as a regression program, and we compare to some basic features derived from existing work, including the length features, prompt features, and the content features. And we introduce some novel discourse mood features. For example, the discourse mood ratio, which indicates the ratio of the sentences that with a discourse mood. For example, the description ratio is computed as the number of sentences with description mood divided by all the number of sentences in the essay. Okay, we also introduce discourse mood sequences features as well. We conducted experiments on narrative essays written by junior school students in tests. There are 3 prompts. We report the characteristic weighted kappa as a metric. And this figure indicates the improvements by adding discourse mood features when using the Bayesian linear ridge regression. Similarly, when we use support vector regression as the algorithm, we can also gain improvements. So this indicates that discourse mood features are useful for essay scoring. We also compute the Pearson correlation coefficient between the discourse mood ratio and scores, because we found that discourse mood ratio is the most efficient feature. And we found that the description ratio has the highest correlation to the scores, and emotion expressing ratio also has a positive correlation. while the narration ratio has a negative correlation to the scores. So it is also reasonable since when we write a narrative essay, properly use of description and emotion can make the story more vivid and expressive. Since the length play a very important role in AIs, so we conduct experiments on essays with different lengths. We found that when the essays are long enough, AIs become harder. And in the hard cases, the role of discourse mood becomes more important since a larger relative improvements can be achieved. So finally, we conclude our work. So we conduct manual and automatic discourse modes identification, and we found that some discourse modes can be effectively identified while others are difficult to be identified. Though we use simple features, but these discourse features still improve automatic essay scoring. In future, we plan to apply discourse mode identification for other downstream NLP applications. Thank you.
Question?
Thank you for a great presentation. So I have a question about the output of your neural network model. So
Yeah.
if you go back to that slide, you have 5 probability of sigmoid functions. So how do you decide this prediction is correct? For example, if you had like description and emotion as the correct label, how do you evaluate your model's prediction? So yeah, can you?
Yeah. In training part, we set 1 to any labeled discourse modes, and by evaluation we evaluate each discourse mode separately.
Okay.
That means we just test whether we can call back the discourse modes that has been labeled by the annotator.
And is there a background of choosing the ratio of description as a feature of the regression model for scoring your essays?
Yes.
So is there a background for choosing that as the feature of
Background?
regression model? Yeah, for scoring the essays.
No, we just tried this simple feature. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your talk. Henning Wachsmuth from Weimar in Germany. I have a question regarding your insights on what use of discourse modes is the right one, because you said that like it's the proper use of description and emotion. However, your features somehow capture the amount merely, right? So this, for me, this sounds like it's like the more emotion or the more description, or maybe the other way around you use is what is better?
Yes. This experiments is on narrative essays. So I think use these 2 discourse modes can make the narration more vivid and expressive. But maybe in argument mining, emotional appeals maybe not always means good argumentation.
Yeah, but apparently being narrative doesn't seem to be enough to write a good narrative essay. That's somehow what your results show.
No.
Because narration is negatively correlated with the scores. Sorry, you said that the narrative discourse mode is negatively correlated with the.
Yes.
So this means like it's not enough to be narrative in order to achieve a good score in a narrative essay.
So this is a relatively ratio. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Maybe we can talk
Yeah.
offline.
That'd be great. Thank you.
talk.
Yeah.
I may have missed it. What is the training size for your neural model for prediction these different categories? Is it 300 something?
Training size.
The training size
Yeah.
for the model which predicts, these categories, for those models. What is the train? It's 315 essays. You have
Yeah, essays.
300 training points.
No,
So what
300
is
ISIS.
But how many? How do you translate? What is the size of your training that is used?
Okay, so I didn't there are 32 sentences, and in average in every essay, so the size maybe about 10,000 sentences, and the discourse moves are labeled at sentence level.
Okay, thank you.
So I have one question.
Yeah.
Did you try to calculate the correlation between the transition of the discourse mode and the quality of the essay?
Transition.
Yeah, the transition.
Yeah.
I guess my question is whether like the transition between the different discourse mode is really important for the
Yes.
essay which have a really good quality.
We didn't compute it, but the results show that adding sequential information improved the performance. I think it's
It's a positive
yeah,
correlation.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Let's thank our speaker again.